Yo, what is up YouTube? It's your boy Zach Lesage here, and we're back here at the Rare Candy YouTube channel. So today we're going to be going over a deck and a deck playthrough of my Spiritomb deck that I originally got from my teammate Brian Hunter on Rock Game. So shout out to him. We've seen this concept do well in the past little bit. We saw Hunter Butler. I know similar names with the Hunter, but he made top 8 at the International Championships of North America. And this is really how the deck works post-rotation. So for those of you who don't know, Spiritomb's a Pokemon. You could put damage counters on it, and the more damage counters that are on it, it has low HP. You can use Anguish Cry to do extra damage. Paired with other cards such as Rainbow Energy, which can add damage counters, Hustle Belt, and Building Spite, you can do a quick amount of damage with Anguish Cry. So this deck, you can see it's just not a Spiritomb deck. There's a lot of different tech Pokemon that you may or may not have seen before. So let's go ahead and jump into it. And then afterwards, we're going to play a few games with the deck to show you how the deck works. This deck is modified more for my local metagame in the Greater Toronto area. But that's a pretty typical metagame. So when we're considering things like that, this deck should have an okay matchup against Malamar, Pikarom, Beheeyem, and any type of fire deck, as you can see with the heavy 3/3 Froslass line and Tapu Fini. So let's jump into it and go in order. So first and foremost, we got Ditto Prism Star. So we are using this Pokemon to evolve. And Ditto you usually play in split evolution lines decks. So this deck has a split evolution line of Zebstrika, or you could evolve into a Froslass. Or you could even evolve into an Aerodactyl GX. This is the only way for Aerodactyl GX to evolve into the deck. So it'll give us the option to evolve any of those Pokemon. It is searchable with our supporter card, Professor Elm's Lecture. Some other notable cards that are searchable are our Spiritomb, our Gumi, we have Blitzel, Mew, and Snorunt. So depending on the matchup, you want to choose those Pokemon carefully. Next up, got a couple copies of Hoopa. So Hoopa's a strong attacker against Malamar because they focus on attacking with Giratina for the most part. It's good against any deck that plays abilities over and over again. So you could do a lot of damage with Evil Admonition. It's a single prize card Pokemon, single energy attack. Single energy attacks are a theme of this deck actually. And it has 130 HP, so it can kind of take a couple blows here or there. But Malamar does have a lot of abilities, and mixed with the weakness, it seems like it's going to be a great card to have in the deck. Spiritomb's kind of that Pokemon that we have where you want to build damage over time, or you want to get those knockouts where you can. The goal of this deck is to take basically knockouts where you can get them, and to focus setting up your board for the matchup at stake. So Spiritomb's a great general attacker, can knock out Pokemon such as Volcanion, Turtonator, Jirachis, things that are very important in our current format. Gumi is a cool tech that I thought of because my area played a lot of Beheeyem. So if you don't know what Beheeyem does, it's a terribly pesky. I don't know how I said that. I like Beheeyem. It's just pesky. So it can use Mysterious Noise with the triple acceleration energy, and you shuffle this Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your deck. So basically, they can attack with triple acceleration energy, which means they only play 3, or they can't attack with anything except for their copy of Pidgeotto. So Pidgeotto is going to be hitting 30, and they're going to waste a triple acceleration energy, which means that they basically lose. Furthermore, Aerodactyl GX has the same ability, so if you set up an Aerodactyl GX in a Gumi, your opponent playing Beheeyem is likely going to scoop, or they're going to try to deck you out. Considering you play 3 copies of Pokemon Communication, a copy of Brock's Grit, 4 Cynthia, and 2 Tate and Liza, it looks like your opponent won't be able to deck you out. If you do think your opponent's going to try to deck you out, you can totally just attack them after building up 2 energies to get past their Gumi. Buzzwole is really a tech against anything that's fighting weak, so anything like a Dark Box deck, or maybe even just like a Pikarom deck. Buzzwole is a strong attacker there. You want to be using it for Sledgehammer if your opponent has 4 prize cards. And additionally, Aerodactyl is a strong attacker there too. You can use Wild Dive after evolving it from a Ditto Prism Star to basically knock out a Tag Team GX Pokemon or something that's weak to fighting. There are some cases where a Reshiram Charizard GX will, for no reason, put 6 energies on a Reshiram Charizard GX, and you are able to knock it out with Wild Dive, or maybe even a Heatran GX with 4 energies on it. you never know exactly what your opponent's going to have. This is a single prize card, free retreat, and your opponent's active Pokemon is going to cost 1 more energy to use. So it kind of works there. Blitzel, the only reason why we play this Blitzel is because it has 60 HP over the 70 HP one. Delivery Dash is not going to be doing anything. Zebstrika is just to have extra draw support. However, if you are playing against a deck that plays Thunder Mountain Prism Star, and your opponent does have a Zapdos out, you can knock it out with Headbolt for 1 energy, so do keep that in mind. Jirachi, we play a couple copies of these just to make the deck a little bit more consistent. You can use Stellar Wish, and the deck plays a Skateboard and Switch and Tantalizer to get out of there. So basically, with their format, we want to make our decks as consistent as possible so we can get our strategies going as much as we possibly can. Mew's a pretty cool card because Psi Power can set you up for some interesting knockouts, and Bench Barrier is great to kind of deal against Pika-Rom decks. We got Naganadel GX, and sometimes even if we look at Xander Perot's DC Open Pod 2 winning list, he had Naganadel Control, which also plays Dugong and Naganadel GX. So attacking the bench is something that does happen. We do want to make sure that we can block that, especially with some of our weak HP'd Pokemon. And here we got Snorunt, the only Pokemon we could evolve into Froslass, but we got Froslass, it's our homie. I'm sure you must have heard Reshizard ability, or Ability Zard is the best deck in format. So we want to toss some water type spice into our deck. This is a single prize card attacker. If you put 7 damage counters on this Pokemon, you could swing a Reshizard for 280 damage. Blacephalon GX is also powerful, or if you're just playing against anything really, they could have a Turtonator in the active position, and you could put 6 damage counters to knock that out. Froslass gives you the option to hit up to 140 damage, up to 280 damage with weakness, to do some big numbers. And I know a lot of players, they're going to be like, yo, Zach, why do you play a 3-3 Froslass line and Tapu Fini here? Well, I wanted to let you know, like, there's enough Poipole in our format and Blacephalon, and like Poipole's played in Dark Box, it's played in Quagnag, it's played in Blacephalon. Hitting 100 damage for 1, regardless or not this is considered a Blacephalon GX tech, Tapu Fini is one of those cards that can definitely put a dent in the game, and just doing 100 damage can be extremely strong at any point in the game. So I totally recommend playing it. I like it, and if you do run into a Blacephalon, it basically allows you to just get a free win, especially at League Cups, with that deck being one of the more popular decks, and just recently coming top 4 at the Sheffield Regionals and 2nd at Worlds. Blacephalon's out there, and I'd rather just have a free win than not. Going into our trainers, so we have 4 copies here of the Pokegear 3.0. This is basically to guarantee that we can get set up every single turn. On the first turn, we want to be using Pokegear to search out the Pokemon we want. Spiritombs, Dittos, Mew, whatever we need. Maybe even a Blitzel or a Snorunt, whatever we need. Pokegear will help us get to that Professor Elm's lecture quicker. Or maybe we just need a mid-game draw supporter. Our opponent would play a Reset Stamp, and this gives us an extra chance to try to reach that Cynthia or to reach a Tantalizer to get some other cards. Pokemon communication. So some of these Pokemon do not have 60 or less HP to work with the Professor Elm's lecture. So we have Hoopa, we got Buzzwole, we got Aerodactyl, we got Zebstrika, got Jirachi, Froslass, and Tapu Fini. So we have a bunch of Pokemon here that we can't search out. So a great strategy is to use Professor Elm's lecture to search out some of the Pokemon you want, and then grab a Pokemon that you don't want and put that away with Pokemon communication. Switch is just a general utility card, but it works wonders with Jirachi. Sometimes you're going to have a Pokemon you don't want in the active position, or maybe your opponent has something over there, a special condition, the active. Switch will help you get out of it. Now, it does feel weird to play Lysander Labs in this deck, and the reason why it's weird to play Lysander Labs in this deck is because we do play 2 copies of a Skateboard and 2 copies of Hustle Belt, which are tool cards. So sometimes you will be shutting off your own tool cards, and it is really weird at times. However, when we are going against decks that do not have or decks that are focused on tool cards, such as Malamar with spell tags, or even an opposing deck with Jirachi, this card can sometimes lock in games. Now, in order to balance that, we do have Shrine of Punishment to punish GX-based decks. There are no Pokemon EX in our format, so we can shut off our own Lysander Labs if we really need to. Now, if you do feel like you need Lysander Labs in the game, or if you don't need Lysander Labs in the game, feel free to play it or not play it. It's completely up to you. It's really good against the Malamar matchup just to go Hoopa Lysander Labs, and your opponent basically sits there and cries. So that's why this deck is just countering other decks. Sometimes you gotta switch up your game style for different matchups. Okay, got a copy of Brock's Grit. So sometimes with Sprint or Red's Challenge, we're gonna be discarding some cards that we don't want to necessarily have in our discard pile, or with us having low HP, we will be able to have Pokemon in the discard pile, or maybe even just energies in the discard pile. Brock's Grit will help us get them back. So if you're playing against an ability Zard, you might want to have a bunch of Snorunt and Froslass after they go through 2 Snorunt and Froslass. So a 2-2 line of that, you could shuffle 4 of them back with a couple copies of Water to basically make your opponent wish they were playing against a different deck. Cynthia, pretty much straight up shuffle and draw supporter. Most decks are playing this card because if it's not Welder, it's basically Cynthia. Cynthia is one of the greatest supporter cards we've had printed in the game. So why aren't we playing it in this deck? We are playing it in this deck. Great choice there. We already went over Professor Elm's lecture quite a few times, searching out our Pokemon with 60 HP or less. And like I said, with the Pokemon communication, you could always put something back. Next up, we got Red's Challenge. So this card, it's kind of like computer search in the standard format. It sucks to play it as a supporter card, but sometimes you're going to need that one copy of Rainbow Energy or Hustle Belt or whatever you need to do in order to make your combo work. Maybe you just need a Froslass. Maybe you just want to search out Substrika. Doesn't matter. Red's Challenge sees no boundaries, and you can discard 2 cards and search your deck for any single 1 card. Tantaliza, so this is basically a shuffle draw supporter mixed with a switching card. So I do like the utility of this card for this deck because you could kind of jump in between a Jirachi or jump into a knockout if you need to change up your attacking Pokemon for a certain matchup. Maybe you want to knock out a water type weak Pokemon, or maybe you just need to get that knockout with Spiritomb and don't want to discard an energy, or maybe you don't even have an energy to discard. Tantaliza is a great way to get out of the active position, or just to shuffle and draw and get 5. Escape Ward's great because most of these Pokemon, as you can see, have low retreat costs. So you could put it on those Pokemon. But namely, it's for Jirachi because it will get past Stellar Wish, making you asleep, and you are able to retreat after that for free. So it's great there. Hustle Belt. So if your Pokemon has 30 HP or less, which doesn't sound like much, but these Pokemon have next to no HP in this deck, you can do 60 more damage. So you can bring, let's do some quick math with Spiritomb. So after this Pokemon has 3 damage counters on it as 30 HP or less, which means it's in Hustle Belt range, which means you're doing 10 plus 30, 30, 30. So you're doing 100 plus Hustle Belt, you're doing 160. Now you could do up to 220 damage with Spiritomb or 230 damage with Spiritomb and Shrine of Punishment, which means that if you place some damage counters around early game or had a Shrine of Punishment out in play before, you can knock out some huge Pokemon like Pikachu Zekrom GX. Going into the energy lineup, it's a little bit weird. We got 4 Rainbow Energies, got a couple copies of the Unit Energy Fighting Dark Fairy, got some Dark Energies, and some Water Energies. So those are just to power up our Pokemon accordingly. Not really a lot of options for this deck, but we do have enough options that we can do things with Brock's Grit, attack with a whole bunch of different Pokemon. You can even put a Unit Energy on the Goomy and attack with Ram if you really needed to. But this is what we have for the deck. The deck is totally teched out to the max. So if that's something that excites you, I'm sure you'll be excited to watch the rest of this video. If not, maybe you don't know how this deck works. I'm about to show you how this deck works. So we'll play a couple games with it. And yeah, let's just jump into that. This is a great time to screenshot this list if you're looking to see exactly what it is. You've got the list there. I'll make sure that you get a chance to look over it. So this is the list that we got, and this is the list I'm going to be playing in the video. And it's basically where I'm ending with Spiritomb. I put a lot of testing into this deck, and I feel like this list is very good for a generalized metagame. Let's say if you don't have any Behemoth in your metagame, you might not want to play Goomy, or no Pikarom, you might not want to play Aerodactyl or Buzzwole. Basically, you got to choose the Pokemon that are strong against other Pokemon in your metagame or your local area. So let's jump into playing some games and see how those go. Lightning, Metal, something kind of deck. Not entirely sure what that's going to be. So let's call this coin flip. I'm just going to call Tails, see what we get. Oh no, I lost the coin flip. Bizandre is choosing who goes first. So let's see exactly what's going on there. Got a weird start here with a Buzzwole. So we'll see how that goes. That's the only Pokemon that we could choose to start with, so. Maybe we'll be playing against a GX deck. Okay, Espeon Deoxys GX is obviously a card that we don't want to see in a matchup like this. Because they can wipe out our bench Pokemon and our Mew does not stop them at all. So right off the bat, I'm feeling like this is a bad idea. But maybe they're playing Mute Box, which arguably is this deck's worst matchup. So if you do play if you do see Mewtwo Mew in your area, I would recommend to not play Spiritomb at all. And yeah, basically it looks exactly like they're going to be playing that. So, okay. So we got Cherish Ball there. I'm assuming they're just, yeah, Mewtwo Mew it is. So we'll see exactly what they're playing. This is the deck that Henry Brand won Worlds with, so it's weird to be talking about a deck or recommending a deck to you that basically your opponents are not, like, there's Mewtwo Mew that's out there, but it does have pretty good matchups against everything else. So I don't know exactly if they know what we're playing, because the Buzzwole start is a little bit weird. But let's see if we can get set up here. Shrine of Punishment might hurt them. There's a Spiritomb. Yeah, you wanna know what? Let's just take the energy. Sure, why not? I don't want to put too much extra damage with Rainbow Energy so that I just lose to an Espeon Deoxys GX. And let's go for a Cynthia here. So if we take out that Espeon Deoxys GX, we might be in pretty good shape. Maybe they won't get a knockout on us, so let's just go for a switch. And hit them for an Anguish Cry. I don't want to put Hustle Belt down just because we're not going to get that extra damage yet. So there's 40, 10-10 from the Shrine of Punishment. That could be pretty cool. Maybe our opponent just has nothing. We'll find out. When in doubt, hope your opponent dead draws. Okay, so they're going to go switch right into a Mewtwo Mew GX. And you can see that this deck is already equipped to just take away from stadiums that I have. Because they are very worried about Power Plants. So Power Plant could be a cool card to include if you are worried about running into Mewtwo Mews. We'll see exactly, it might be something that's to consider. We'll see what they grab here. Okay. So they just grabbed another Mewtwo Mew, although we do have another Shrine of Punishment in our in our hand, so we're all good there. There's a Welder, so they're going to be doing something. Can they copy anything? What do they have in their discard pile? They don't got nothing in there. Maybe they'll pass. Oh, Custom Catcher, drawing some cards. Got a Marshadow. Hopefully they just pass. Awesome. That's amazing, actually. Let's go Water Energy on Snorunt here. There's really nothing that we want to drop yet, so let's just do this. Let's go Hustle Belt. I don't know if we're really going to get enough damage on here. We could always retreat if we really want to. So let's go Titanize. We're going to use it as a shuffling effect. And we did get out of Froslass, actually. So we're going to go Froslass, Jirachi, Building Spite, and let's go for a retreat into a Froslass. And we could actually even go with Icy Wind here. That might make our opponent asleep. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. I wanted to do Spiteful Sigh, but I'd rather just have our opponent asleep. And you can see that that's working out well for us. Maybe they don't have anything. They only have 2 cards left in their hands. Playing a Welder last turn, having no Stadium. I'm assuming they're probably just going to go for a Marshadow to take rid of Shrine of Punishment, unless they completely forgot about that. Oh, there's a Psychic Energy, so that was a pretty good call, because they would have been able to knock out Spiritomb and Froslass in the same blow. Okay, so they're awake now. Yeah, I'd be upset too if I were them. Let's go Pokecom this Aerodactyl away, and let's try to get some more things set up here. I do want to get out probably just a Ditto. I don't think there's another Pokemon that we have that can really set things up great. So there's a Ditto. Lysander Labs, they don't really play any tools that I know of. So let's see what Cynthia brings us. We can also just start building up on another Spiritomb here. I don't really care exactly how they do it. I think we're pretty okay here. I'm gonna try again for how much damage would it work out to if I put 40. Have to hit for 200 damage. So 200 damage, we'd be hitting for 160. We'd actually be 10 short with that. So you want to what? I'm just gonna try for Icy Wind again. We might be actually we could get the knockout next turn, especially if they get tails here. That'd be huge. No, they got heads. We are able to get a knockout next turn, however. I think maybe we'll see how our opponent places their damage counters. They might make some mistakes. They only have 100 damage to put down right now. It's hard to do math all the time. So our opponent chilling with 3 cards in their hands. Let's see how this plays out. This is their GX attack too if they decide to go for it. Oh, did they just actually hit for 70 damage? What? What? I think we just want to go put up to 7 damage counters on this Pokemon. So we could do 200 damage that way. Yeah, I'm feeling about that. Or we try to go for Spiritomb here. Spiritomb would have 5 damage counters if we grabbed a Rainbow Energy. So we'd do in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 150, 160, 220. I think 220. Let's go Red's Challenge. We don't need Tapu Fini, and we likely don't need this other Froslass. So this is one of the things where Red's Challenge can be amazing. Let's just go Rainbow Energy. Awesome. Retreat, sending up Spiritomb. Rainbow Energy there. Let's not forget to use Building Spite because we're taking 3 prize cards anyways, and we want to start powering up our Pokemon. Sure, you want to know what? Let's go Building Spite there too. If our opponent doesn't get much, we could just get some big damage out in play. Let's go Anguish Cry. That is a knockout for sure. Feels so satisfying to use a Pokemon that has 10 HP left to knock out a 3 prize card Pokemon. I'm trying to click on these prize cards. Come on, PTCGO. Okay, so let's see what our opponent does here. Hopefully they're just not like going Welder or something. They just attached a single Fire Energy. Oh wow, our opponent actually has nothing. Okay, well, we don't really have a lot of options here in terms of what we can do. Let's go a Skateboard on Jirachi. Let's go Hustle Belt onto... we could do 200 damage with Froslass, 220 with Spiritomb. Let's power up Spiritomb. See how Pokegear goes for us. Cynthia seems good enough here. I have no problems with that at all. So let's go Cynthia. Wow, that was a really weird, that was a weird one. Okay, let's go Pokecom to put Gumi away. Let's grab out, do we want to grab out Zebstrika or do we want to grab out Aerodactyl GX? I think Aerodactyl GX would be pretty good because our opponent will need a sizable amount of energies, and maybe Primal Winds could be good. Zebstrika is the consistency king, but we do have Jirachi there if necessary for next turn. So let's go for a thick Anguish Cry. Definitely not a Building Spite there because that would knock us out. If our opponent doesn't have it, then we win the game. Let's tell them, give them a sad face. Ooh, are they going to use their GX attack? Are they going to use their healing attack? They have two options. They can either go with Miraculous Mew, or I think they're just going to go for their GX attack and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See exactly how it goes. They might just wipe out all my attackers and just hope that I'm just making mistakes with Aerodactyl GX. However, if they actually knew what was in my hand, they should be attacking the Jirachi. Come on, opponents. Come on, opponents. Yep, that makes sense. This is why their GX attack is the scariest thing to deal with. But we do get Jirachi to send up. And they no longer have a GX attack. And what do you know? We literally top decked the win. You have a good deck. Well, thanks, bud. You do too. I thought your Mewtwo Mew deck's awesome. It won Worlds. Unfortunately, didn't set up for you this game. Surprisingly, we were able to beat the Mewtwo Mew deck and showcase a wider range of our attackers. Normally, we're trying to fight against more of the metagame stuff. Even though Mewtwo Mew is in the metagame, that's the one matchup we are fine with losing. Like we're playing against a fire deck. This is probably a Greens Reshiram Charizard GX, which is definitely one of the top decks in the format. And we won the coin flip. Obviously, we want to be going first. Let's see how it goes. Starting with a Jirachi and a Professor Elm's Lecture, especially if we are playing against a straight fire type deck, is amazing. Because I'm just going to search for Snorunt, and likely a Ditto or a Spiritomb. So yep, looks like they're playing greens. Let's see exactly how this goes. And our opponent's just choosing an active Pokemon. I wouldn't be surprised if our opponent actually quit out of this game as soon as it flipped over. So yep, let's draw a card. Got lots of options here. There's a Snorunt for us. So let's go for Professor Elm's Lecture here and start powering up our board. Let's go Snorunt, and probably, or let's go Snorunt, Spiritomb, and probably a Ditto. Oh, we actually have Ditto prize. It'd be a good idea to check through our prize cards. Maybe we want to get Blitzel. Yeah, we got Zebstrika there, and that sounds like it'd be a pretty good option, especially if our opponent were to use Reset Stamp against us. We can see that we have a lot of energies. We do have a Water Energy prized. We do have nope, we got Cynthia in our hand. Looks like we got a decent bit of everything except some of our Pokemon are prized, including Goomy and the Ditto and stuff like that. It can get confusing with this deck, so I do recommend having a pad of paper if you are playing it in real life. So, got our Snorunt, our Blitzel, our Spiritomb, and let's go for Stellar Wish. What's up, world? We got Shrine of Punishment, so that will help us get some damage in play while our opponent's like, what is this deck? What's going on? Who's this Zelasage character? Let's go Building Spite, and I'm going to go ahead and pass this turn. So if our opponent's able to get past this, that's really cool. But it's all working out for us right now. Yeah, they're just gonna obviously concede that game because we could just win on the next turn. Maybe they didn't have a way to search out another Pokemon. That is absolutely the best matchup we could ever run into, and it's a great setup. The only thing that could have been better is if we had a Froslass in our hand or an energy. Okay. So we're playing against, it looks like we're probably playing against Guardian, the deck that just won Sheffield Regionals. We would like to go first. Gotta watch out for some of their healing cards. Ugh, Mew is not my favorite start in this matchup. But that's okay. Maybe we could do a decent bit of damage other ways in this game. So let's see how it goes. This is definitely a matchup we want to get Zebstrika out against. So let's go Pokegear here. We did get out a Professor Elm's Lecture. And we're going to be able to go Professor Elm's Lecture here to go for Blitzel, Spiritomb, and probably Ditto. We don't have Aerodactyl GX in our deck, so we won't grab Ditto. We're just going to go for another Spiritomb. Actually, let's go for a Ditto. So let's just go for another Spiritomb to start building up Pokemon. So I'm okay with this start. This seems cool. They can't block any of our tools or anything like that. So we got that. We got that. Let's go Building Spite. Remember to use those. A great way to use it is if you have your TC Evolutions damage counters or ability markers. It's a great way to help track if you're playing this deck. So I'm going to pass there and see what our opponent does. So they're just going to go Green's Exploration, probably for a Cherish Ball and another supporter. If they have another supporter, they might grab an Energy Spinner. So we'll see exactly what's going on with that. Yep, Cherish Ball, Energy Spinner. Pokemon's super predictable nowadays after the rotation. So they're just going to grab another Gardevoir Sylveon GX here, and they're going to be going for Energy Spinner and using Fairy Song to power up that Pokemon as quickly as possible. Now, all of their Pokemon are able to knock out of our Pokemon, but their 3 energy attacks are basically going to knock out our Pokemon regardless, so it doesn't really matter exactly what we have going on here. We just want to hit hard, and we only need to knock out 2 Gardevoir Sylveon GX in this matchup. So we'll see how that goes. They're powering up super quick. And we can go Pokemon Communication here, get a Froslass, turn that into a Zebstrika, evolve our Blitzel into that Zebstrika, and probably just go with a Cynthia here. See what we get, maybe an Escape Board. We actually got a kind of weird hand. I don't want to discard it because we have a lot of resources here, but let's try to hit hard with Building Spite here. Now, they do have resistance against us, so let's do that. Hoopa is not a card that we want to play in this matchup because you can see our opponent might only be playing 4 energy or 4 Pokemon, all without abilities. So we're hitting for 140 on turn 2 against this tag team Pokemon. They might try to heal all of that damage off, or they might just go tag switch and knock us out. Ooh, Scoop Up. That is bad. This is a matchup that I'm not particularly comfortable with, just because they can do a bunch of healing kind of shenanigans. So we'll see how it goes. Looks like they're pretty happy with their setup here. Fairy Charms don't really matter for their deck at all. And let's just try to go back to hitting them for a lot of damage. Maybe they don't have another Super Scoop Up. We don't have any Pokemon that can kind of withstand the hits. So there's Spiritomb. Sure, let's do that. Let's go Cynthia. Shine could be cool. And to be fair, I'm really not a huge fan of this hand. I'd like to try to get another Spiritomb out if possible to start using Building Spite, or maybe even get a Hesselbelt out. Okay, we got a Snorunt. There's an attacker for next turn. We can use Building Spite and hit for 130 damage minus 20, so 110, 120 with Shrine, and then 10 to the bench Gardevoir Sylveon. I don't necessarily think this matchup is going to be too great unless they run out of healing cards. It looks like they're going to keep on using Super Scoop Up and other cards to get around it. There's a Green's Exploration. Maybe they're going to go for a Tag Switch or double Super Scoop Ups. I'm not entirely sure what our opponent's going to grab here, but all of these cards are cards that we don't want to see in this matchup. We don't have anything that's Metal type that can do a lot of damage. So there's a Lysander Labs, there's a Great Potion. Maybe they have a tag switch in their hand as well. Okay, so that's going to heal from the active. That's going to heal from the active. Maybe they're just going to build up their bench at this point. Nope, they just got a switch. So you can see that everything that I'm doing is just going straight away. Maybe they'll keep their energies on their active. Yeah, looks like they did that. Okay, well, I can put some damage counters onto this Snorunt. A decent bit of them, however. So let's go for Cynthia there. There's an escape board, there's an escape board. And let's just go for a sprint because all those cards in our hand absolutely suck. Okay, Pokemon Communication, that's cool. Let's go Pokemon Communication. We don't have a lot of options here on what we can grab. So let's just go for a Froslass so that we're ready for next turn to do some more damage. And let's go for Spiteful Sigh. Let's put 6 damage counters on it so we don't knock ourselves out. So we hit for 120 there, and let's see if our opponent continues to try to heal. If they don't try to heal, they'll probably move the damage counters with Kaleidostorm to the bench. So you can see that this matchup is a struggle just based off all the healing that they have. What's our opponent going to do? I'm sure they're probably thinking about it. Green's Exploration, so maybe they'll go for a Tag Switch and Super Scoop Up or something like that, or nope, just Great Potion. So it seems like I'm doing actually nothing this matchup. Not gonna lie, it's putting me on tilt. But Gardevoir Sylveon GX, even though it won Sheffield, it's not that great of a deck right now. The deck to its core is very strong, but the fundamental issue with the deck is that it loses to fire type decks because there is no fire type Fairy Charm. So that means Ability Zard, Green Zard, all of these decks can absolutely just run through it after they get set up. So let's send up Snorunt and let's try to make the best of this game, but I feel like we're just going to be sending up food for our opponent to munch down on. That unit energy is not going to be very enticing for us to play because we actually can't attack with it. So let's just go with a sprint and hope that we can get the energy necessary. Okay, cool. Looks like we did. At this point, we might as well start putting alternative Pokemon down. Hoop I don't really want to put down. So I'm just going to go for Spiteful Sigh. Let's put 7 damage counters on me. And swing for 140. So you can see, even though the deck is not working in this sense, we are swinging for huge damage turn after turn. And if our opponent did not use all of these healing cards, yeah, you might as well just get another heads here. Maybe they have another Super Scoop Up waiting there. Yep, Green's Exploration. Probably going to grab a Switch and another Super Scoop Up. Or at least that's what I would grab because that seems like the correct choice. Super Scoop Up and Switch, yep. Probably play a Super Scoop Up again to see if they get it. Yep, so there goes all that damage, and our opponent's going to go down to 2 prize cards by sending up this Gardevoir Sylveon with 20 damage on it. They don't necessarily even have to bench that one down. I don't know why they're benching 3. You realistically only need 2. Oh, so this is more of the Japanese base list that runs some other tech cards. I actually would have just attacked with Xerneas GX in this match. Overrun would do a lot more work because for a single energy you could use Overrun. This card alone makes it tough to deal with, or tough to beat Gardevoir Sylveon. So if I were our opponent, I'd be doing that. Now, what have we used for stadiums here? We still have another Shrine of Punishment. Yeah, you want to, let's send up Buzzwole. We're out of options for great attackers. See if we can get something off this Pokegear. Ah, Brock's Grid into a Sprint. That could be cool, but I don't think it's going to change much. Let's just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that's, let's go like that. So we got all those going on. Let's go for sprint, see what happens. So we got no energies there, which kind of sucks. But we can set up for a building spite turn next turn. I don't see how we could win this game at all. So let's just go for a thick pass. Our opponent should just promptly go Kaleidostorm, and then we will have no options to win the game next turn. So it's all good. We showcased in the other games how this deck works. Yep, I don't know why they'd actually even do that. It seems like a waste of custom catches in case I put something really weird in the active position. I think it's better to be more conservative in this match. So that shows that our opponent maybe might not be the most well-versed player when it comes to Pokemon. Let's just send up Spiritomb because it doesn't matter. We have Switch in our hands. That Water Energy sure would have been nice. Sure, let's go for Ditto Prism Star. And see if we can get something off Sprints. There's our Froslass. Let's put a Tapu Fini down for the meme. Let's give our opponent the good, face. I don't know what it's called. Sure, let's go for a Building Spite too. They probably have mixed herbs in their hand. Let's just go for Icy Wind. It's absolutely the meme. And they are still asleep. Maybe this is the comeback that we need. But between Tag Switch and Mixed Herb, I think they should just be able to win the game pretty easily. What's our opponent going to do here? Rip, good game, well played. That's what we got for Spiritomb. So, it happens. You can always lose a game. Alright, everyone. This is the absolute end of the video. I hope that you enjoyed it. This is the list one last time if you want to catch it or if you didn't catch it at the beginning of the video. I really appreciate you watching this video, and it would be great if you could like this video, share this video, maybe put some comments down below. Let me know if you think if there's any cool text that you thought of, or maybe you thought maybe I did a misplay in the video or something. Let me know. I'm on a new setup, so I'm hoping the quality is great for all of you to watch. I invested about $2,000 into an iMac that I'm really happy with using, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm using it perfectly, so it'd be great to hear some feedback from all of you wonderful viewers. That being said, if you want to really support our channel, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/rarecandytcg, or you can go to our website and pick up some merch at rarecandytcg.com. As for me, I'm Zach Lesage. You can follow me on Twitter at ZLesage_Pokemon. So if you ever want to stay in the loop and you want to see exactly where I'm going on my Pokemon adventure or what's going on with me, follow me on there. That's all we got for today. I'm sure we're going to have some other great content coming out this week or next week, so stay tuned for that. Till then, peace everyone.